Yo, welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast where we cover all the anime, all the gaming, and none of the bullshit. This week we're getting into the 2024 remake of Ranma Half. All right, man. Like I said, we get into this Ranma Half. So I'd already been watching the series before, but it was during a rewatch with my roommates. I realized that everyone might not realize the history with this show and why we might have picked this show to talk about this week. So I just want to, give everybody a little bit of an overview. Ranma Half is from Rumiko Takahashi, a series that ran from 87 to 95. It's a long-running anime that ran from like 89 to 92. It was the series, if you know Rumiko Takahashi's name, if the name sounds familiar, it's the series right before Inuyasha, and it was another one of Takahashi's hits alongside Urusei Yatsura, which just got a remake not too long ago, and Mason Ikoku, which was like a famous shonen rom-com. It was a massive success in Japan, but one thing that I know a lot of people might have missed is that it was also a huge series here in America for a while. It was one of the larger series that just never made it onto cable, largely because of like the heavy nudity compared to like other anime series that are a little easier to bring over. And so like I remember even Adult Swim joked like, no, we're never putting Ranma Half on here because it was just it was so much work to edit and get it safe for cable at the time. I imagine now it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. But we have watched the first 4 episodes. We're sorry, I know episode 5 will be out by the time this episode goes up. Just didn't quite hit the time for that one. So, but I do want to start with Rakeem, since I know this was a series that he really enjoyed, the original at least. What did you think of the new one?
Yes. So, just for information's sake, I have seen the original Ranma Half years ago when I was in high school. It was one of the first series I watched online before, I was primarily watching cable dubs, and this is like one of my early animes I just tried out. And what struck me as a kid with this series was that it had all this comedy nudities. It was insane. Like, they did not care. Like, it was just bare chest out, that this hella jokes, hella sexuality jokes. I mean, it's a show about a dude transforming into a girl, so there's all types of comedy there. Some stuff that probably I would say wouldn't fly today, but it's on TV right now. However, what struck me with this show was that it had this really cool combination of like having all these comedic moments, but then the fights would happen, and the fights were awesome. I was like, well, yo, this is animated, like, it don't take itself too seriously, but it does take certain moments seriously. I think that's pretty powerful. So far watching the series again, I'm like, yep, this is what I remember. A whole bunch of slapstick most of the time, a lot of weird innuendo and sex jokes and interactions because of the weird premise of the show, the character being cursed to transform into a girl when he is struck by water and his father turns into a panda and they get at odds with each other. I do love the strong martial arts connection. I remember Devin talked about this when we watched it together. Me and a lot of Kenichi, because it's like this very strong martial arts dojo presentation, master techniques, but also the comedy aspect of it. Like episode 4, when this rival character shows up and this guy's kind of supposed to be like a serious martial artist, but his weapons are so unorthodox. He's throwing heavy umbrellas with blades and infinite bandanas that turn into like throwing stars, and like
you're trying to figure out where them bandanas keep coming from. God dang,
they keep coming, baby. But it makes for a cool spectacle that you immediately, when you watch this, I would don't expect this to be like a super serious anime at all. Like, coming to this with an anime mindset of like, this is something you just enjoy to like have fun with, and then the action actually backs it up. I'm really liking this really cool dimension they're doing with like some of the action scenes where the colors change and the style of anime just like changes into like a different I ain't gonna say pastel, but like this kind of like differential color palette change that changed the tone of the fights, and it's like really cool. I've never really seen I've seen something like this before, but not in this way. I think it adds something to the anime, gives it kind of its own flair as well. I like the portions of the show where it just turns into manga panels or comic panels, and they have like the sound effects up, like throwing back to the history of the manga itself. That's a really cool callback. I think that's like showing respect to the original material. And overall, just the pace feels different. You can tell it's an older anime because they are not wasting time. It just feels like something is happening all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like every few minutes. It's fast paced. They're going from one thing to another. Of course, it's a finished series as well, so don't have to put any filler in it, which is why I love full animes when like once a series is finished as manga. You don't have to put any fluff in it. You just put the show as it is. The pace doesn't get messed up. And I think this show is better for it. So far, I like it. It's been a long time since I watched the original anime. I'm talking about like over a decade. So this is a great refresher for me. I'm loving the pace of it. I'm loving the comedy. The weird references to nudity. This is a very quirky anime. Everybody's not going to like this style of comedy, but for me, it resonates. I enjoy the characters. I think they have like these cool dimensions to them. Like the main girl who doesn't like men at all, but she has to deal with Ranma, who's going between being a man and a woman, and her weird feelings towards men. And like how she kind of permeates that with his sex changes is different. It's interesting, and which is weird because it's like it feels like back in the day I would think Ranma half wouldn't fly, but the way we deal with sexuality now, it actually feels like you should be more comfortable with it a little bit. Like there's more range for you to actually tackle the difference between being a man and a woman having to be both, and like that could go into stuff like non-binariness and things of that nature as well. I'm enjoying it. It's pretty cool. I think the show is funny as hell. The last episode I watched left on a cliffhanger. I cannot wait to see the next episode, and I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 10 so far. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay, that's a solid start. Devin, man, what did you think of it?
I think I should have watched this a long time ago because I absolutely am enjoying this show. I always used to hear the name Ranma One Half. I never watched the episode, never saw like many clips of it. I just thought it had a cool name. Never knew anything about it. And after seeing the premise, I definitely didn't think that. Oh, like when I saw him turn, I was confused. I'm like, what's? I was like, oh, this is the premise. I'm like, and then you see what happened to him. Like, oh, that's his fault. I'm like, this is hilariously stupid. Like,
Very
so yeah,
stupid.
I love it, man. It's such a old school anime at heart, and it's got like that sweet spot of what I love in anime, like that comedy, just like this stupid slapstick comedy. And then you got your hands, you got your high velocity hands, left hand, right hand. And I was surprised by that because I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why do he fight so good? Kind of puts me in the mindset of Gintama where like, oh, Gintama's funny. Then I saw like a clip. I'm like, wait a minute, what all this action going on? What's all this? I thought we were telling jokes here and being funny. I'm seeing people getting sliced up, so it kind of put me in that mindset, but not a lot less violent. But yeah, man, I love this show, man. And that fourth episode sold it for me, man. The intro, like, I'm like, well, it made sense because it was the 80s. So Street Fighter 2 fighting games was definitely a thing. So I'm like, man, that was so cool to see that intro, man. I'm like, that was dope. Yeah, this is a very good anime. I like this. I wish I had watched the original. But I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm assuming this is like a 1-for-1 just with a new coat of paint. From the original. I don't know if they've added anything or taken anything out.
I'll say my part later.
It's fairly faithful early on.
Okay.
But I mean, like the thing is, the manga, like the anime, went off to like filler type shit really early. So like, I think maybe around episode like in a couple episodes, it'll start being like more manga faithful than the original was. So
okay. But yeah, I'm loving it so far, man. Rama is a hilarious character. He's just like this whole thing of like, him being such a trained fighter, with him and his dad, and he's saying things like, it's, I don't say he's full of himself, but I know he mentioned something about like, oh, you want to fight a con? It's like, no point. I mean, I'm a girl now, but fight you would still make me. It's like, sir, she is also quite competent. Like, I don't think that's how that works, my guy. She punched a rock with her bare hands at the beginning of the series.
She did.
Yeah.
Man, I love the characters. The father is stupid. The scene where they come into town and he's fighting his father, And I'm just like, why is there a little girl and a panda fighting in the middle of the street? And then the people like, it's a panda. He's talking. He's taking a girl away. And it's like, well, we ain't gonna do that because we saw what they did. I'm not gonna try to stop it.
They fight no panda.
Especially not. It's Kung Fu Panda for real. Like before Kung Fu Panda. Like I'm not running up on this guy. Like Rakeem mentioned, the art style aesthetic changed when Ryoka fought. I thought Ryota fought. I think that's his name. Ryota. He fought Ryoga. He was fighting Rama. And it took me immediately to JoJo because JoJo is like the main anime I've seen do that when something happens. Like the whole palette just changes, the color just change. This was a little different because it's like they added almost, I feel like, a few hatch marks, like cross hatch marks, so it wasn't just color, but it was also like how they rendered the characters just a tad bit. That was really cool. Yeah, it's like the whole thing with Akane. She's not a big fan of most men. She seems to like the doctor Tofu. He's hilarious. Like, and of course, you know, every time you see a character, they got the glasses with the glare. So, oh yeah, there's something behind that character. So every time you see that, you know there's something going on with this guy. He's giving Rama the old chiropractic 1-2, and it's like I feel like this new version kind of lend a little bit of the spice from social media. You know, there was a time when we kept seeing all these chiropractic videos, people just like cracking people, and because he was a point he was doing so much, he was just like had his neck like this. He's like, "Hey man, help me." But yeah, it's funny, man. But I really want to talk about this 4th episode, man, because I was dying all the way through, man. Just first, I thought it was like his brother because he looked kind of like Rama. Is this Rama's brother or something? I'm like, oh, he's just a rival. And actually, when Sage mentioned that this was the same creator that did Inuyasha, I could kind of tell because even the clothing,
looks like
Koga.
He looks like
Koga.
He looks like Koga.
Yeah.
But even just like the style, like the hairstyles, I'm like, these hairstyles were very like that little swoop with the little, like that was a very common hairstyle in Inuyasha. I can just see like just from the style, I'm like, this is pretty dope. But he comes into play, and at first, you know what I thought about? I'm like, this is years later because I think One Piece came out. What was it? 98.
Well, I think the manga's 96.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this dude, his whole thing is like he has no sense of direction. I'm like, did they kind of take Zoro that direction? Because I'm like, I'm getting big Zoro. Well, I'm getting his vibes from Zoro now that I think about it. I'm like, he's got like a umbrella, I guess is a sword. He's just wondering. So, hey man, where's Tokyo? He's like, it's that way. Like, bro, what you doing? Like, it's like, and seeing why he was mad. It's like, where's the school at? Right, bro, it's the sign that he yoked.
That was hilarious.
Like, can you read?
The fact he told Rama, "Hey man, you were late for our duel." I said, "Bro, I waited for you for 3 days."
You a coward for leaving on the 4th day, sir.
What?
I was there for 3 days.
You're supposed to wait till I got there.
And when they showed the map of how close his house was, his area, it's like, so you were literally in walking distance. What took you so long? I was like, yo, this is. And he's like dead serious. That's what makes it so fun. He's like, I am not playing, bro.
You was.
You know, and then Rama thinks about maybe it was a food I took, which was hilarious. I don't know what school you at where they out there just, hey man, we got one item left, bro. We throw it up in the air, and whoever get it, bro. I was like,
yeah, that's like, what was it the bento anime where they're fighting over food?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, I see why he hangry. He's been hangry for years because he ain't had nothing to eat. He's delirious. That's why he ain't got no sense of direction because he ain't had nothing to eat. Like,
maybe,
like, bro,
maybe
like,
so.
I like how Rama was like fed up. Normally he just like he don't care about fighting, but he was like, look, man, was it the food? Here, take out these buns. Take them all.
How dare you? I don't want this food. It's expired. It's because you took like a week to get here. Man, that episode right there, that solidified it for me. I already liked it, but that episode was hilarious. And him having, I don't know what type of technology he has, but that's a gang member's like dream. He just had bandana after bandana after bandana. I'm like, sir, I don't know what technology you got, babe, man. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, this show, I really like it, man. Like it's like the perfect blend of that comedy and like action. I like it, man. And then like seeing kind of the dynamic between Connie and Rama, which she's kind of like starting to kind of be more endearing to him. I guess, you know, he said something about she was like, you got a great smile, and then immediately after was like, hey, what are you looking to that mirror for? And he's like, bro, you can't just let her be by herself. Like, just leave her alone.
Right?
He just had to keep fucking with her.
They basically constantly talking shit to each other like all the time
Yeah.
too, which is
Yep.
hilarious.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think my feelings right now, I'm gonna give it like 8.5. I really like this show, man. And I kind of hate that I didn't watch this before now.
Yeah, I think I'm along the lines of where you're at. I wish I watched the original. I had always heard of the original. Anytime I got like any old magazines that focused on anime, Ranma 1/2 was always like featured somewhere in it because it was just such a big deal. It was one of the first series to come over to the States. And even like I think pre-Toonami, there was talk of like the manga and the anime because it was such a big deal. And like watching it now, like every time I see a remake of something that we grew up on or like was popular during like when we were children, every time I watch it, I'm always like, are they gonna knock it out of the park or are they gonna fuck it up? And I'll be honest, like they tend to get it right more often than wrong. You know, you have like your Hunter x Hunter, or you have like debatable with Sailor Moon Crystal, I guess. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, they got that one right. Yeah, I know, right? Like it's weird because I know Sailor Moon Crystal.
You talk to certain fans, they'll say Crystal was an abomination.
Bro,
Oh my goodness.
Even though it's
Yeah.
technically more faithful to
Yeah,
the manga than the OG.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
It's that handful.
Some
that
people
love
don't like
it
the
and
manga;
that
they like the
love
anime.
it.
I mean, you
Yeah.
grew up on one over the other. It's kind of like how a lot of people don't like Dragon Ball Z Kai, even though Kai is like more accurate to what happened in the manga
Oh,
in
absolutely.
terms of like pacing and
Oh
shit.
yeah.
So it's like, you can't fight nostalgia ultimately. But yeah, I mean, like I went and checked this out, and I was so pleasantly surprised. Like I've been watching, like I said, I've been watching the series weekly since it came out, and every episode has me in tears. Like starting with the first episode where you don't know what's going on, and then suddenly it opens like kind of cryptically and randomly, where it's just like Ranma is coming, like a dude reading a letter, and then like you're like, and it goes immediately from that to this girl fighting a fucking panda, and the panda got hands for no reason. You're like, why the panda got hands? Like, what the hell is happening right here? And then like, if you don't know the premise going in, you just sit there with like question after question after question. And then very quickly they just start knocking down the questions like, okay, this is Ranma. When he splashed with like cold water, he turns into a girl. When he splashes hot water, he turns back into a boy. His dad is like a fucking panda who can't talk, so he just has to use like these giant signs and shit like that. And like one of the things I like is how much you can see like a lot of the language of anime comes from Ranma. It feels like a lot of the comedy language and stuff like that. You can see like, okay, I see where some of these ideas came from, and it still feels refreshing because it's like you can tell since it's the originator, it just kind of feels it has a different vibe to it. And also, I'll give a big up to like the animation. It's modern, but you still get that vibe of like, oh yeah, this is a classic style 90s, 80s anime or like 90s, 80s manga. It's like you could tell like it doesn't feel like when you watch it and you watch something like, I don't know, Dan Dan Dan, you like, okay, they're not from the same art style, like years, like eras and whatnot. But like everything about this show is just so endearing. Like every character, there's not a character I dislike so far. Everybody like Akane, she's like, oh, I hate men. And then immediately you see why she hates men. She can't go to school not one day without 85 dudes being like, look, you gonna go out with me. And at first I'm gonna beat your ass to prove it. And it's like, hold on. Whatever happened to just like give me some flowers or something like that? Like, what's going on?
They say we got the flower style, hands jutsu.
Yeah, so like every episode, every day she go to school, she got to fight the whole male student body. It's like, yeah, I bet you don't like men. I wouldn't like them either. So like, and you see that, and like, what I like is that Akane she definitely can throw hands. Like, I mean, she can't. It don't seem like she can fight evenly with Ranma, or if she can, not yet. But like, it's a big gap between Ranma and everybody else because she showed up at that school and beat everybody. She was like, yeah, go ahead and go to class. He was like, go to class. What about all these? Yeah, I got this. And just beat everybody up. What's up, Rakeem?
I love one part I've noticed that it kind of adds to the overarching narrative of how like the relationship between men and women, which is ultimately what this show is really about, was that Ron always underestimates Akane, and Akane always underestimates Rama because of their self beliefs about the opposite sex. Because Rama believes women are just inferior, and weaker. He don't even when he turns into a woman, says, I don't want to be a woman. And then Akane already hates men, and she has predispositions towards them because of the stuff you talked about. So when she sees Rama do stuff out of the ordinary, it throws her off, and they're kind of like subverting each other's expectations, which is a core part of this show.
Right.
That's a very good point.
Very good.
And it kind of it just, I mean, and that's the other thing. As they're learning more about each other, you can slowly see them start to have feelings for one another. Like there's the episode where like it ends with like a little fight, and she's like all frustrated, and he's like, like Devin said, like it ends with him going, "Oh, you do have a pretty smile," only for him to like 5 minutes later, she's like looking in the mirror, she's just like, "Do I have a pretty smile?" And he just shows up and he's like, "Hey, what you smiling at yourself in the mirror for? What kind of creepy shit is this?" Like, you couldn't let her have just 1 minute of peace. You just had to keep fucking with her. I was like, okay, this. And then like even episode 4, like you see they actually starting to like look out for each other because she's like trying to help him with this Ryoga thing, and like he mostly has it, but it's still just like because he can turn into a girl at any time, and he's trying to keep his identity like the two separate. It just there is a weakness, and he does kind of need her help sometimes because like. When I tell you, I've never seen somebody get splashed with cold water so easily. Like the man was just walking to school and was talking to her, and he was talking mad shit, and then all of a sudden that old woman just went out there and splashed him with water, and there he was. He's a girl again. I'm like, "Yep, this brother is cooked." And I mean, like it. And one of the things I'm looking at it and knowing how big of a hit it was, because I think when I looked it up on Wikipedia, it said something like 55 million copies of the manga sold.
I believe it.
One of the most successful manga of all time. When you look at it, it's like, yep, I understand why, because you found a way to appeal to both men and women, or like young boys and young girls. It was published in, I think, Weekly Shonen magazine, or might have been Weekly Shonen Jump. I think it's Jump. But it's easy to see, like, okay, you got the action for the young boys, you got the romance for the young girls, and then like the comedy for everybody, because it's just such a funny manga. Like everybody loves to laugh. And then like when you grow up, you can kind of you understand and like you appreciate all of it put together. And so like it's like, oh, this is a real, like, everybody's gonna like this, everybody's gonna have a reason to tune in. And because the characters are so likable, you just want to keep seeing what kind of shenanigans they're gonna get into next. And this is a rare case. We're 4 episodes in, and every episode seems like it's better than the last one, because the fourth episode really is like, when I tell you, I just couldn't get through like a minute without laughing, because like that man Ryoga was hilarious. Like the bandanas, the man had infinite bandanas. The man had all the cool weapons. Like the fight, probably the best fight in the show so far.
Oh yeah,
clearly. And just fighting over absolutely nothing.
Nothing,
or at least as far as we know, like just fighting over nothing. Just like, you don't understand what you took from me. Like the pork bun, the yakisoba bun. Hey man, I don't know. Take all these buns. Like
his words were, "I went through hell." It's like, all right,
sure.
It's like hell because you didn't eat. This your fault. You keep getting lost.
Have no sense of direction. All right, cool.
Yeah, you keep getting lost. That ain't got nothing to do with nobody but you.
Man, cars will be low for life. You walking everywhere.
But yeah, I mean, like I've just enjoyed this show so much. I'm gonna give it a 9 so far. Looking forward to watching episode 5 tomorrow. Yeah. So
yeah,
because I seen
I would have to watch it twice if I watched it today. So
okay, fair enough.
It was like next episode 11/2/24 at 12. I was like, oh, it's 12. Oh, that's all right. Bet.
Yeah, that's not too long after we wrap up this podcast, since we started recording at like 11. So I mean, this is a great series. If you like old school type anime, I definitely recommend it. If you like comedy, I super recommend it. Even if you like just romance, like fluffy romance, like you're gonna get that. There's no question that this is where this is going over time. So I definitely recommend this show. Will, where do you stand on it?
Okay, so for me, I'm kind of in the same boat as Devin. Didn't watch the show when it was out, but I always seen bits and pieces of it everywhere, thanks to the internet being the internet. But with my adventure in watching, I said, you know what? Let me cross-reference this show with this original and see how everything kind of played itself out. And I gotta say, I like what they're doing here because, like you said, Sage, there's like a lot of like fluff in the original, like you said. There's like a lot of that, right? I went and looked through it all. There is some fluff, no doubt, in the original. But I see how they're kind of planning it out because the first episode literally is 1-to-1 with the original. It's literally 1-to-1, but then like from episode 2 onward, it's like 2.5 episodes of the original are planted like in each episode. I kind of caught on to that. I was like, oh, okay, so there's this part here is happening in this episode, so on and so forth. So they're kind of picking it up. But that's what I like about it because everything that's relevant to the story is being pushed right in front of you. So you're not necessarily holding yourself off, like waiting every week for something new and major to happen. Like 2 or 3 major events are happening each time. And I really do love the animation of this show. It looks amazing. I have been like kind of like awestruck by it every time. And like y'all said, it looks new, but it definitely has that old like late 80s, 90s feel. And I love it to death because it feels so nostalgic to me. Because I'm just like, I never watched an ounce of this show a day in my life, but I can see that type of love that got put into this show. And I love it. Fight scenes are amazing. In episode 4, I'm with Devin. I love that episode to death. I love the beginning of the episode just like he does, simply for the fact that I'm just like, holy hell. They referenced the Ranma half fighting game right then and there.
I was thinking, like, was there a fighting game with this game back in the day? There had to be.
Yes,
okay.
There is. I was like, they're really referencing the fighting game at the beginning of this episode. That just put like the biggest smile across my face. I'm like, damn, I didn't think they would even think to pick that up right there. But yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. I love like the little bits of where they're like kind of getting along. Because I'm just like, if I was him, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd have just been like, we just ain't getting along. It seems. we can't see eye to eye. I guess we just never gonna be eye to eye. But it seems like they getting it now because of him having to go between being a boy and a girl. I see it now. He's having to understand, like, I guess I got to do this. Especially after the whole Tatawaki Senpai moment with him hopping out the 3rd floor window. That right there threw me. I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's finna do something cool. Then all of a sudden, oh my God, there's a
one
pool.
Look down, seen it was a pool. He was like, bro, no.
It's up,
I was about to
bro.
hit a
You know it's
hand.
that.
I thought I was about to throw hands. Now I'm swimming. And then he go carry the dude out. Oh, he moving. And then everybody started kind of putting 2 and 2 together on the 3rd floor story. Like, hey, man, then his body kind of shrink a little. What's going on with that? And it's bad because Tatawaki ain't even putting 2 and 2 together. I like his character a lot because he's funny as hell to me. Because he is
samurai.
The horny samurai. That's pretty much him. He likes the girl Ranma, but every time you see the boy Ranma, he is enraged.
Regular.
Man, boy, them simps was hard up back there. That man paid $70 for like 10 pictures of 2 women. I'm like, bro,
man, it was wild.
The Roddy G mask. That's what I call it.
We thought it was some hit her freaking sister selling her out like that was messed up, bro.
I like how that, like, if you watch a lot of modern anime, you might have been set up for like, oh, she about to slap Ranma for having these pictures of her, and they was like, no, we about to let you know what happened immediately. He had these pictures on him, and his sister was just like, oh yeah, I sold him the photos. I was like,
his sister was super honest.
She was so honest about it.
I got
a little side hustle,
got me a little money off him real quick. You know what I'm saying? These nails don't get done for free. That's how she pulled up on him with that. Yeah, that was like one of the funniest things there, bro. Especially after the whole like Hokuto no Ken kick he gave Tatsuwaki. I fucking love that part where he just is like tap, 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 and then left footprints all over his face. It was fucking amazing. But yeah, I think this show is like really good, especially if you haven't watched the original. If you haven't, like a couple of us probably haven't, and other people who haven't sat down with Ranma have, please make it your business to sit down with this here. So far, it's been covering pretty damn well. And like it's been tracking, like I said, I've been cross-referencing the episodes bit by bit as I watch them, just to see where everything kind of lands. And it's pretty damn spot on so far. So I give this show like a good old-fashioned 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. Come sit down with it. Great animation, great fights, funny. It has a story in place, even if it don't like it makes sense at first because of how they kind of layer everything to you, but it's there. And also, if you are a fan of JoJo's, coming from me, with like the way they put the sound effects, the go and all the other stuff, when you get hit, when she smacked the hell out of Ranma that time after he walked into the bath and she was getting ready to come out, and you seen that big ass pyong come across the screen, yeah. Watch this. It's so good. It's so good right now.
All right, Terrence, man, what did you think?
You know, Rumiko Takahashi, like, man, just the fact that she's had a hit almost like every decade in a sense, and she's had like big ones. It's like, man, she's definitely one of the GOATs. And this show, kind of like most of you, I had always heard about it, but had never watched the original just because it never aired on TV, like on Toonami or Adult Swim or anything like that. Or if it did air on one of the networks, I wasn't able to watch it or wasn't aware of it at the time. But yeah, it's one of those few manga and anime that even though it was never on cable, you still knew about it in some way. It was either referenced on like maybe VHSs. Maybe that's how I remember hearing about it, because I remember maybe on like old Sailor Moon VHSs or maybe Dragon Ball, something like that, where maybe they had like commercials for it or something like that. I could
mean,
be
definitely
misremembering.
old school DVD. VHS tapes would have like a ton of different anime that the dubbing company also worked on.
Mhm.
I don't remember who dubbed Ranma.
I don't either.
I don't know if it was ADV or if it was like Manga Entertainment.
No
Viz
idea.
Media. I'm tripping.
It's Viz. Okay, that makes sense.
So like potentially if you bought Dragon Ball Z, because I think they also did Dragon Ball Z for a little bit, or was it always
like the Ocean?
Yeah, I think so.
It probably was one of those that was a Canadian dub. I wouldn't doubt it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like once you bought the VHS, like to start the VHS, like, and this is, if you're young, you won't remember this at all. Even if you caught the DVD area, this is a different thing. The VHS would always start with like 4 or 5, like basically like movies, like the previews. It would just start with 4 or 5 of those, and that's what you would see.
And then it will go into now our feature presentation.
Yep. Now, our feature presentation.
Yeah, but yeah, Ranma's one of those that I always knew about but had never watched. And you can see totally the groundwork that was laid for Inuyasha, like just from what Devin was talking about, how the characters look to the interactions between the characters. And one of you, I think it was you, Sage, that said that how you have you have like the action side of things that's going on, which appeals to like mostly the male demographic, but then you have more like the romance side of thing is going on that appeals more to like the female demographic. And when you mash them both together, you're bringing both those audiences. And so in the same way that Inuyasha did that, that's where the groundwork for that came from. Is like this show totally was like a game changer. And for this remake, I have to say, I mean, you all pretty much have laid it all out, but yeah, it looks great. This show, like Mappa has totally done such a good job with it, from like the comic style, comic art style with the Kirby, I won't call them Kirby dots, but just like the comic dots and whatnot, to the pastel colors. Just, it does such a good job of having modern animation and having a modern look to it, but still looking like something that came from the 80s. Like, it's just so dope in that regard. Yeah, I really have to give it up to Mappa. Like, they truly have done a good job adapting this. My only concern is how much are they going to do? Like, how long is this going to go? Because Ranma is by no means short. So are they in this for the long haul, or is this something that, because I mean, let's be honest, like Mappa has so many projects on their table. Like, how are they going to be able to do this and keep it going for a long period of time? So that's kind of my question, is like longevity wise, like, is the quality going to continue? I would hope so, just because of this series pedigree, that Mappa, no matter what, would make sure that it continues to look good throughout the series. But, you know, time will tell on that one. That is my only concern. But yeah, the characters are great. Ranma is a great character. He's funny. Akane, like you all mentioned, Ryoga. Ryoga. Him getting lost. I was definitely thinking of Zoro when I saw that. I was like, oh, this is probably where the inspiration for Zoro came in terms of his directionlessness. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, you have Kuno, the samurai, who just is head over heels for, he wants both of them. He wants Akane and he wants female Ranma.
I did not expect him to say that. I'm not gonna lie.
Which one you gonna choose? I want both of them.
Both of them. During a cute, I want both of you. Like,
it's funny. Will would know this. What's the anime? Girlfriend, where the main character's like that too, where he's like, you know what? Oh, I can't just have one or the other. I'm gonna have both, and pretty much just like that's how his harem extends
how
is
his
like
hair
he can't
starts.
decide on any of the characters, so he's like, you know what, I want to date all of
You know
you,
what?
and it's just
We doing it. We doing it. Busting.
Don't-
Wide open.
Yeah.
Mashoko Tensai. Sometimes you got to have a sword and you got to have a side sword.
Yeah.
That is what his dad said.
That's what his dad
Crazy.
told him.
Yeah. No, but I love this show so far. It's great. The 4 episodes that I've seen, I've enjoyed each and every one. And like you said, Sage, it feels like each episode outdoes the last one. Yeah, if the quality continues, I mean, I think this could be, if not the best, then one of the best anime remakes to date. Like, just so far with these 4 episodes, I think that they're doing one hell of a job on remaking this show. And yeah, if it continues, I think this could be another case of a successful anime remake. It could go down as like a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in that regard, or even the other remake that they're doing of Rumiko Takahashi show, Urusei Yatsura. Like that one, I've always heard really good things about. I'm not sure who's doing that. Is Mappa doing that one too, or is there someone else?
I thought, and let me double check. I thought it was David Production, but let me double check.
That actually makes more sense.
It could be David actually.
The 2022 series, yeah, David Production.
Okay, well that's
Okay.
good to know. Okay, well that's good to know they're
Yeah.
not doing both, because that would be a lot.
Yeah, because that's taxing.
Yeah, but I've heard that remake is great too. So it's great to see that her shows or her manga are being remade and such respect is being paid to them. I think that's awesome. Who knows? I know we got Final Act, but maybe somewhere down the line, like give it maybe another decade, you might have an Inuyasha remake.
I would think before you got to Inuyasha, you would do Mason Ikoku, because that was also a big
Yeah,
hit in
Mason
the
and Coco
80s.
did hit.
A little bit before our time, but it was definitely like I do remember seeing it in like Animerica and
Anime
not New Type
Invasion
USA,
magazine for
maybe
me.
I think Wizard. I think I saw it in Wizard back when they used to do like features on anime, or manga. So I think Mason and Koku would come first.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I would definitely imagine you'd get around to Inuyasha if people wanted that.
Although to be
would've-
fair, I will say because you have Yashahime, that probably you probably wouldn't get an Inuyasha remake. Like, yeah, you're right. I think probably some of her other works would get remade first, but yeah, because they had the continuation with Yashahime, I think that kind of technically counts in a sense of it's more Inuyasha. It's just a continuation of it. But yeah, I mean, she even has a manga that's out right now, right? Called a Mao, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that still running?
I don't know if it's still running, but when I was looking stuff up for research, I saw that she had a manga out.
Was Yasuhime a hit? I don't ever hear about the anime anymore.
Yashahime had its ups and downs. I think there was things to it that people liked, and there's others that were more controversial. Like the one that everybody knew going into it, of course, and I'm not going to turn this into an Inuyasha thing, but was the Shishomaru and Rin relationship. Was like everybody like, come on now. If you saw the ending,
Nobody liked
you
that.
knew what it was. It's just a matter of them actually confirming it. And well, I mean, yeah. No, it's one of those no duh, but they actually did it kind of things. But yeah, anyway,
I was hoping they'd never get around to doing that, but I mean, you know,
They did it.
it is what it is.
I never thought they'd have a sequel series. So
Yeah.
Same. True.
But back to Ranma. In terms of a score, I'd give it a very strong 9. Like I do think that this is like so far, if it continues to keep up this level of quality, I think that this could definitely be one of the best remakes for an anime to date. Like it's very well done. I'm just hoping that Mappa just doesn't shit the bed in some kind of way with this one, but I have hopes for it. I think that there's enough respect for the mangaka to do this right and continue to do it right. So yeah, I'm liking what I've seen so far. Very good show.
Since you brought it up, it's and Will kind of brought this up too. It's adapting like 4 chapters an episode so far. So I think we're on, although the first episode I think was a little wonky, which isn't a surprise because like the first chapter of a manga tends to be longer than like any of the other ones.
The first episode, literally, like when I cross-referenced between the original and this one, it was literally like flat out 1-to-1, aside from like some cuts, like to move things in certain places. With him getting a letter, was it being in the beginning of the new, where it was like a little later in the older show. So there's a couple things here and there that they kind of made a little small bit of liberties with. Other than that, it's pretty much the same.
Right.
Which you could argue from a storytelling perspective, it makes more sense to do it the new
At the
way
start.
than the new
Yeah.
one. So then the old
Yeah.
one, excuse me.
But yeah, right now the last episode adapted, or episode 4 adapted up to chapter 13, and it's been like pretty consistent as far as like 4 chapters an episode. The manga as a whole is about 407 chapters long.
Woo.
I think there might be some extra stuff on the side. But that leads you to, if they keep up the 4 chapters an episode, probably
100
around 100 episodes,
100
which is,
episodes. Woo.
I mean, I don't know that Mappa can keep that up, so we might be in for like an Attack on Titan thing where we hand it off to another studio or whatever. Well, I think I was actually the other way around, where Wit Studio handed it off to Mappa.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think we might be in for that. And I mean, like, I would rather that and like another studio that can do the same quality than Mappa try to keep it and then you get a Promised Neverland type of situation.
Oh man.
I wouldn't want that. I think we're safe for the first season, which is probably going to get us through like a fourth of the manga. Yeah, about a fourth of the manga. So I'm not too mad at that. And then like we'll see where we go with season 2. I don't know if Urusei Yatsura got a full adaptation. I know it's over. I don't know if they adapted the whole manga or if they kind of like rushed through it or whatever.
That's a good question. I know it had 2 full seasons.
Right.
So
it ran
I don't know if
about
that
48 episodes.
was all of it or not.
So I don't know. There's something else I wanted to say. Ranma was not a Jump manga. It was Weekly Shonen Sunday.
Okay.
Which is a different company. So I didn't want to like just have everybody thinking it's, oh man, another Jump. Like no, it's not another Jump. But yeah, I mean, like overall, I think they're positioned well, and it's really going to depend on how, because I don't think this is making huge waves in America or in the West in general. So it's really going to depend on how well this is received in Japan as to whether or not they keep going. You know, of course, there's some times where they will an American, like it depends on if it's popular in some area, they'll keep going. But if it's not popular in any area, of course, there's like, well, why are we still doing this? So
yeah, and also it's a Netflix anime, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Netflix.
Yeah.
So you already know the the pedigree of Netflix sometimes with like as far as outreach of people talking about it. When it gets on Netflix, it's just like something happens, which is like.
Which
Yeah,
I will
mean-
say, to be fair, on Netflix's account, they are
quality
doing this
doesn't
one
always be
weekly.
bad. Yeah.
Like, there's really no excuse for anyone to be like, oh, you know, they're putting it all out at once. That's why I don't want to watch it. It's like, no, they're doing this one weekly. They're doing the same format as everyone else. So, like, I think if people put this on Netflix, that's really not fair. That's just me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Normally, the problem with Netflix is that they throw the whole series up at one time, and that's just not how we digest anime as a community.
No.
You
As
seen what they
opposed
did to
to, like,
JoJo, damn it.
Yeah, like
I
Steel
think
Ball
I think
Run.
Netflix is kind of learning their lesson because a lot of their newer anime they are doing weekly.
Kinnikuman. Kinnikuman was weekly.
Daimo.
Delicious in Dungeon, yeah, that was all weekly. So.
Daimo.
Yeah,
Although they're
wait,
behind.
is Daima Netflix?
No, they just also on Netflix. It's also
Okay.
on Netflix.
Oh, it's also on Netflix.
It's on both.
All right, but yeah, I mean, like, this one is weekly. I agree with you, Terrence. Like, it really, there's no reason for people other than just people aren't interested or people don't know about it. One of the two, which is weird because, like, you would think Netflix would promote this one a lot, considering how big it is and the pedigree. So I don't know.
They do a lot with like classic older anime. Like they put a lot of time in like Saint Seiya, for instance. Like so,
Saint Seiya be trucking, man.
I don't.
Somebody out there's
Ooh,
watching
Saint
Saint
Seiya.
Seiya.
You know who watches Saint Seiya?
I was going to say Latin America be watching.
Latin America. They love Saint Seiya.
They fuck with some Saint Seiya. I'm
I
not
remember
mad
seeing
at them.
a
Everybody got
Hispanic
their-
dude with Saint Seiya shirt at work.
Yep. Everybody got
Yeah,
every
do it,
country
bro.
got their shit, so I'm not mad at them.
They'll sneak
I'm
in
glad
a
they
video
do it.
game out of nowhere you didn't even see coming. It's like, oh, we got a new game out, man. What's up?
They did have a video game not too long ago, like maybe a couple of years back. It's like
a
what
fighting
the-
game.
Yeah.
More than
What
likely.
the hell is this?
Like
You
a video
what
game.
was it called?
I had to
Oh,
look
what was
it
it
up.
called? I don't remember what it's called, but I do remember it being on the PSN store. I thought buying it. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it was like I think an arena fighter. And where they just, shot the same attack at each other over and over again. That's the one thing I can never get past with Saint Seiya. Where it's just like your special move. That's it, huh?
Special
Like,
move.
you ain't gonna throw a punch, a kick, no, a throw, just a special move
yeah.
over and over again.
I've even watched like the newer series, and I will admit, like even there, even though those are like CG kind of, even there, like the action is okay, but it's not like enough. Like I gotta watch this every week, man. It's the best show. It's all right.
I mean, that's just. I mean, that's not even an adaptation of the manga at that point. It's just like I think a Western thing where they were trying to get it over in the West proper, and
they changed some things.
But
I think it had 3 seasons, and that was it.
Longer than I thought it was.
It 2 or 3 seasons, I think. I could be wrong.
I mean, I do hope that we keep getting more remakes of classic manga. Partially because like one of the things I forgot, like as I was watching was I was like, man, we used to make stuff intentionally for more than one audience. Yes. And everything now feels like it's hyper targeted towards one demographic. It's like, and if that demographic don't like it, it's gonna die. As opposed to like when you target multiple demographics, even if you fail to hit one, you'll get another one, and like that can still allow you to be a success. And so I hope that we continue to get some more of these classic series, not just because I'm an old taku, but also just like I would just like to see more shows that get exposed to like newer audiences.
Yeah.
What's up, Keith?
I'm tying my fingers. One day we'll get a Shadow Skill. I love Shadow Skill, boy. I love the OVAs. I love the anime. I want one. I want one of those.
That would definitely be a niche one to remake.
I mean, like it feel like when we found out they was remaking Croc. Like,
Croc platformer?
Croc Country. Yes. Everything. That's why I'm saying like they making everything come back. I'm just asking for it now. I'm just asking for it. I might send them a letter. Just let them think about it. They might put it out.
I still want. I said last night Flame of Recca, but the one I really want, just because I know how great
that would be nice.
How great it could be if people got their eyes on it again, and if it got a proper manga adaptation. The one I really want is Black Cat. That's the one that I need. Like, okay, y'all need to go back and redo this. I was so mad when Black Cat, like the people behind it, like they made a Twitter account, and then they immediately after, like everybody was like, "There's a Black Cat Twitter account." They was like, "Hey, just want to let you know, ain't no new shit coming out. We ain't got nothing planned." I was like, "Damn it! Why would you do this to us?" But yeah, I mean, like we'll see where everything goes. Hopefully with this, I mean, I am excited to check this out tomorrow. But as far as like classic anime goes, I assume because there's so many slots now. There's always just like room for another anime. Like there's 40 or 50 anime to come out every fucking season. So there's bound to be at least a slot or two for some classic shows. Okay. But I think that's going to wrap this week up. If you like this episode, you know what to do. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.
I'm blurry.